Hello, I'm Bob Lujano, Paralympic athlete. Over the last 20 years I've been involved in wheelchair sports, and over the last 30 years I've been a wheelchair user. A rotator cuff injury is an injury that many wheelchair users are very afraid of. It could sideline you for several weeks. Jim Murdock, who's been an athletic trainer for over 37 years, will explain what a rotator cuff injury is, the symptoms of a rotator cuff injury, and hopefully it'll bring you awareness and insight of the seriousness of a rotator cuff injury.
So the four rotator cuff muscles, or SITS, are supraspinatus, which is on top of the scapula, infraspinatus, between teres minor, and on the front surface is subscapularis. So these four muscles in conjunction control the head of the humerus in place and to allow rotation to occur in a synchronous smooth motion. And their function is to stabilize the upper arm in place. So these muscles attach onto the arm bone or the humerus and keep it in place during motion. So technically they don't rotate the arm, they help the arm in rotation. It's the other muscles, the larger muscles in the shoulder, that create the rotation, where the rotator cuff creates stability. Like we said, the four rotator cuffs are small muscles, but they come underneath the collarbone and then attach onto the arm. So again, usually what's happening is that those tendons are getting pinched between the collarbone, the scapula, and the humerus. So it's a very small little tunnel that they go through. So those tendons get irritated. And this is where that impingement occurs. So when the humerus rides up, it pinches between the head of the humerus and this acromion process. And this is where we get impingement. And you can actually get wearing away and tearing of the rotator cuff there. The strength, or what we call the stabilization of the scapula or the shoulder blade. Because these four muscles of the rotator cuff all come from the shoulder, the scapula, onto the humerus. So if the shoulder blade is not strong, stable, that's when you're going to start seeing rotator cuff issues, because you get more motion. Obviously, if there's any physical deformity or injury in the shoulder itself, whether it's the ligaments or the cartilage or the bone, can create a lot of other components. So like any injury, it's really finding out what the mechanism is before we can really determine what we're going to do. And I think a lot of times in shoulder injuries, people will jump to, oh, it's got to be a rotator cuff because it hurts when I do this. Really, there may be underlying pathology. And a lot of it is scapular stabilization. It's either the muscles are either too tight or they're weaker. Pushing a wheelchair is actually like a throwing sport. So you're doing a lot of this motion, whereas in upper body activity you're doing here. So what you'll start seeing is a forward motion or a rounding of the shoulders, which may feel stronger, but it actually widens or makes the back muscles weaker. So that changes that stabilization, sometimes referred to as scapulothoracic rotation. So that the scapula doesn't move as well, and you'll have diffuse pain. And again, if that happens, then the rotator cuff tends to get involved. So primarily it's trying to get them back into a more upright or a neutral position by stretching and strengthening.